Hi, everybody. This is Maya Zahira with PsychicProtectionSanctuary.com. And I'm back again for another mini lesson. This is a really interesting topic, and there's the potential that I might create a longer version of this and do one of my 90-minute free classes on this topic. But we'll just start with a mini lesson, and I'll probably create more questions than answers for you as we dive into this. So the topic is something called light language. Light language. Light language is something that's becoming more and more popular within New Age. And a lot of the students in my program, Spiritual Empowerment Academy, have asked me if light language is real, if it's safe, what exactly is it? Is there anything that can be harmful about it? And the reason why they're asking these questions is because they are really diving deep and gaining a bigger understanding of false light, what trickster energies are all about, and how they operate. So they're beginning to ask a lot of questions about things that a lot of New Agers and spiritual seekers would normally automatically trust. They are, these students of mine are approaching things with a higher level of discernment, which is a really good thing. So that's where this question has come up in the past, as well as in my free Facebook group, which is called Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group, if you're interested in checking that out. So I know that I'm going to be hopping about. And so we're just going to say that that's okay. I'm going to be jumping around with a few different ideas about light language. And I encourage you to jump into the comments, share your own thoughts and ideas, or add any ideas. And we can always, like I said, continue this conversation even more in a longer class coming up in a few months. Possibly. We'll just have to see. So light language is, in my perception, it's the New Age version of speaking in tongues. Speaking in tongues is a Christian practice of basically it's like speaking gibberish or speaking, and I can't fake do it, by the way, otherwise I would as an example. But it's either speaking gibberish or an ancient language or a foreign language or what sounds like a foreign language. I met up with a couple of gentlemen a few months back who were doing Christian deliverance prayers. So they were spiritually cleansing people. And when they were doing this, they were speaking in tongues. And the idea is that it's the Holy Spirit speaking through the person as this is happening. But it's a little bit different with I'm going to call it the New Age version, although not everybody who does light language would necessarily put themselves in the New Age box. But we're just going to call it the New Age version because that's the best descriptor. But in the New Age version of this, which is called light language, the idea is it's not necessarily the Holy Spirit calling forth these vocalizations. It could be the Holy Spirit, depending on what the person's beliefs are, or they could believe that it's the Holy Spirit, or it could be words, iterations from the person's own soul, from their inner self, calling forth messages, vocalizations from divine source, God, goddess. It could be messages, essentially non-human messages from an entity. So sometimes these are spoken in a foreign language, a human foreign language, or an alien foreign language. So alien speaking in tongues is quite popular in New Age. So it's a form of, so I'll circle back and say that in the New Age version of speaking in tongues, which is called light language, this could be perceived as a form of channeling. So channeling is when someone brings forth messages from some spiritual source, including one or more entities. And I want to just refer you to some other videos where I go into a lot of detail, 90 minutes or longer. I forget how long the videos are, but I have 2 videos at least, probably more. But I have a video on YouTube called The Problem with Channeling, and that I just did that 2024 version. And then I also did a video of the same title, The Problem with Channeling, several years ago. So if you go on YouTube and you type in The Problem with Channeling, Maya Zahira, you'll find those 2 videos. And I go into a lot of details as to why channeling is problematic and is untrustworthy. So I won't go, this is a mini lesson, so we don't have time to go into all of those details. But like I said, I'm going to be hopping around a bit with this topic, so bear with me. I forgot to mention that with light language, sometimes people will speak light language and other people will sing light language. And actually, this sung light language can be quite lovely. I've watched a few musicians on social media, on Instagram, who are just really lovely. So on the surface, it can seem really innocuous, but I would say use caution, because I've actually received videos from well-meaning people. I talk about this in a couple of my books, how this one person sent me a video and I clicked on it and it had this weird sound frequency. And then it had this, like, I think a person was speaking light language. They were speaking a foreign language and it sounded alien. And I knew in that moment, I immediately shut it off because I knew that this was intended to hijack my energy field. So there are some instances of light language where it's intended as a frequency transmission to jack up the energy field of somebody, whoever is listening to it. So is this always the case? No, it's not always the case. But I would seriously use caution when listening to channeled light language, even if it sounds lovely. I would just use your deepest intuition and definitely read and learn about false light that's so popular in New Age right now, so that you can understand about how tricky this is. It's very tricky. It's false light is, it's such trickster energy that it puts itself forth as being lovely and beautiful, whether it's through light language, through vocalizations, or through other ways. But false light is very tricky, and we definitely don't want to be listening to things that are jacking up our energy. So if you are someone who you channel light language, I would just invite you to take a moment, take some time, and really think about and feel into, where is that energy coming from? Is it coming from within in a very grounded way, from your soul, from your inner being? Or is, excuse me, or is it coming from an outside source, an alien or an entity or something like that? If it's coming from an outside source, then really question that. Again, learn about false light. You can learn more about false light in some of my books that you can find on Amazon. So one good place to look would be the Psychic Attack Sourcebook. And there's a whole chapter on false light, so you can get a better idea so that you can discern if what you're bringing forth is authentic or not. It is really important to do that level of self-reflection so that you know that you're only working with energies that are authentic and true. And, if you are intending to work with energies that are authentic and true, it can't hurt to question it, because if it is true, benevolent energy, it's going to be fine. Right? And you don't want to be working with non-benevolent energy anyway. So don't be afraid to question. All right. So, like I said, I forgot to mention a couple things actually. I talked about how light language can be used to impart energy transmissions that are not necessarily benevolent energy transmissions. Light language can also be used to hypnotize people, to make them more open to entity attachments and that sort of thing. Now, again, is that always the case? No, that's not always the case. Are there ever cases of authentic, benevolent, positive light language? Yes, there are positive instances of light language. But what I'm trying to do here is to just encourage you to question and really think about what kind of energies are coming through and to use your discernment. So just to wrap this up, I'll just say that with Christian speaking in tongues, as well as New Age light language, in both cases, it can simply be the person's imagination where they're just speaking gibberish, and it's not even anything. It's just like speaking gibberish. The person relaxes and just lets their vocal cords produce sounds. So it's a person's imagination, it's just gibberish. Or it can be, whether it's speaking in tongues or light language, it can be the person's true self, their soul essence coming through, or maybe some aspect of their ancient self, their soul essence that has lived many, many, many lifetimes, sharing messages from those past lifetimes, perhaps. Or again, it might not be gibberish or the true self or genuine divine source, but it could be coming from an entity or some other source that's pretending to be benevolent but isn't. So there's all these different things that could be happening with light language. So just to wrap this up, I will reiterate once again that my goal here is to just get you thinking and discerning, developing your knowledge, and thinking about what kinds of energies that you are working with. So I look forward to seeing your comments wherever you are watching this video. And as always, if you'd like more information, you can find it at my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com.